All right, so good day to everyone. So today is Tuesday. Ito na naman ating subject, leadership and management in nursing. So today we're going to discuss about decision making, all right, problem solving, critical thinking, and clinical reasoning as a requisite or a requirement for a successful leadership and management. So as nurses later on, you will be involved with a lot of activities, with a lot of issues and problems, which will require you, of course, a sound decision and your problem solving skills. At the same time, how you act on a certain issue or problem. All right, that uses now your critical thinking and critical reasoning. Of course, these are your basic requirements in a in having a successful leadership and management later on. All right. So today we are of course we will be involving ourselves into a lot of decision making activities. All right, as we head on to other chapters or other topics later on, okay, it would be very easy already since the topic on this on decision making was actually or was already lectured to you. So decision making class is often thought to be synonymous with um, management. It is one of the criteria on which management, all right, management expertise is being judged. All right. So much of any manager's time is spent critically on examining issues, all right, or conflicts, dilemma, all right, and solving problems, and of course, a daily dose of making decisions. So the quality of the decisions that leaders or managers would actually make is the factor that often weighs most heavily in their success or failure. All right? Because as we all know, all right, bad decisions will have bad consequences. Will have bad consequences along its way. At the same time, if you have good decisions, and it will make the institution or the program or the activities of your institution to be going smoothly along the process. So decision making then is both an innermost leadership activity, and this is the core of the nursing management. All right. So this chapter, all right, chapter one will help us explore the primary requisites for successful management and leadership, which involves, sabi nga natin kanina, decision making, problem solving skills, your rational thinking, your critical thinking skills. All right. So this will be involved in, of course, in your daily activities later on. So decision making as defined by businessdictionary.com in 2016 is a complex cognitive process which is often defined as choosing a particular course of action, all right? And it is the thought process of selecting a logical choice from the available options, all right? So there are options, there are choices that you have to choose, you have to select, all right? And always, if you will be involved in all right, in making decisions on what is the best option among what is given to you, then of course it requires a sound decision. It requires a comprehensive decision. Okay, it involves now, all right, um, an in-depth analysis of those choices for you to arrive in for you to arrive into a sound all right decision later on. So problem solving is part of decision making, and it is a systematic process that focuses on analyzing a difficult situation. All right. So it's always, all right, you will be bombarded with a lot of difficult, situations later on, conflicts among your staff, all right, conflicts that has arise from a patient concern. It ballooned into a great concern already since it was It was relayed into the higher ups immediately without consulting your office for that matter. So, iba-ibang klase, iba-ibang degree of problems or difficult situations will be experienced later on. So, sabi nga natin kanina, pwedeng conflict yan among your staff, conflict yan between your patient and your staff, or pwedeng conflict yan ng staff mo versus a member of the healthcare team from the admin, all right, from the ancillary department, so on and so forth. All right. So problem solving always includes a decision making step. All right. And many educators use the term problem solving and decision making synonymously. All right. But there is always yet important, okay, difference between the two. Okay, so merong pagkakaiba, meron pa rin silang tawag dito, difference. Alright? So si problem solving and decision making can be different um, in their own unique ways. Okay? So decision making on the other hand, sabi nga is usually triggered by a problem. Okay, merong problema, merong dilemma, you have to choose between two opposing choices or two opposing um, alternatives. Okay, but you always have to choose the best. You always have to choose the right choice. Okay, and the factors that will help you, okay, choose the best decision or the soundest decision ever is of course reflective thinking, which will be discussed later on. So you have to reflect, you have to make dialogues or communication with experts, okay, for you to be assisted, okay, in making that decision the best. All right. So the decision maker might later choose to address the root cause of the conflict or might decide to do nothing at all. So you have an option to immediately make a decision, okay, for a certain program or for a certain activity to prosper, to move on. But there are also instances that it is good, it is the best, it is for the best of the organization or for the institution to make, okay, no decision at all. Okay, so we will be giving examples later on. So the decision has been made not to problem solve. So this alternative may be selected because of lack of energy, limited na yung time natin, okay? Kulang na yung resources natin, okay, to solve the real problem. So for example, the problem is uh, um, yung testing kits, okay? Dahil may COVID pandemic, merong COVID crisis ngayon. So we will be needing now a massive supply or a vast supply of testing kits. Okay, since um, we are planning to have mass testing, so we will be testing a very large number of the population. Okay, to be involved in that project. So, but since we cannot accommodate everyone, okay, we cannot accommodate all people in this mass testing. So we will be setting a criteria. So a decision has been made that we have to make a criteria on who are we going to uh, to test, okay, during that mass testing. So for example, the criteria was laid down, at ang nabanggit dun sa criteria is we will be testing only those who present, okay, signs and symptoms of COVID, or those who manifest, okay, um, the signs and symptoms of COVID. For example, my fever, persistent fever, my cough and colds, all right, flu-like symptoms. So they are our priority. So once these people were already tested, okay, so at least we were able to meet our criteria, okay. At the same time, class, all right, we were very certain that the lar- the largest portion of those we suspect, okay, to contract the COVID-19 virus, all right, has already been tested. Okay, I have already been tested. Okay, so it is also it can also be made a decision can also be made not to set criteria, okay, just to of course to what do you call this one, just to be fair also to other people or to the constituents, all right, that each constituent is given a chance to be tested with or without the symptoms, okay, to prevent also or to avoid anxiety, okay, among our constituents, all right, or among the members of the of the population. Okay, so another example is, for example, a person or a staff decided to handle a conflict when it occurred but did not attempt to identify the real problem causing the conflict. All right, only decision-making skills would be used. Okay, so the decision maker might later choose to address the real cause of the conflict or might decide to do nothing at all about the problem. All right, so for example, assume that a nursing supervisor has a staff nurse who has been absent for a great deal of time. All right, for the over the last 3 months. So normally, all right, supervisors would feel compelled to intervene. Intervene. Siyempre, that's one of the primary function of a supervisor, wherein they supervise. Okay, the attendance, the performance. All right, they evaluate the performance. Okay, and of course the progress. Okay, of this staff that they have. Okay, so normally in this case the supervisor would be compelled to act on it. Okay. However, the supervisor has reliable information that the nurse will be resigning soon. Kaya pala siya uma-absent. Okay. To make an impression that he or she is leaving very, very soon. Okay. To return to another to return to the school. Okay. To continue, for example, his or her master's degree or to transfer to another institution. Okay? But because the problem will soon no longer exist, okay, matatapos din lang naman yan. So, what if we just find a replacement? Huwag na natin siyang kausapin kasi pwedeng magkaroon lang siya ng pagkakataon na magreklamo sa policy siguro, sa pasahod siguro, or sa mga patakaran siguro, okay, ng hospital natin or ng institution natin. So it would be very best not to discuss, okay, specifically or comprehensively the problems and issues of that staff. So let them go, okay, find a new employment, all right? And later on, okay, mamamatay na lang na parang bula, okay? O mamamatay na lang, okay, yung issue or yung problem regarding that staff, okay? Who has been who's been absent for a long period of time. So the supervisor decides that the time and energy needed to correct the problem are not already warranted. Okay, it would be useless for us to intervene already on a problem that we cannot, that there is a slim chance for us to, okay, overcome or solve. So, all right. So, critical thinking, on the other hand, would refer to as reflective thinking. Okay, ito yung reflective would mean a continuous process, okay, of evaluating, okay, uh, evaluating a certain issue or a certain solution to address a certain problem. It has a broader scope than decision making and problem solving. Okay, so when you say reflective thinking, you have to assess, you have to evaluate all, okay, of the existing problems, the related factors, okay, that contributes to the existence of the problem, all right, the consequences, okay, that may arise after, solving or during the ongoing process of acting on that problem. So, yan yung mga bagay na kailangan nating i-consider, okay, in reflective thinking. So, it has a broader scope than decision making and problem solving. So, dictionary.com defined critical thinking as the mental process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating information to reach an answer or conclusion. So critical thinking also involves, okay, reflecting on the meaning of statements of your staff, your superiors, your subordinates, examining the offered evidence and reasoning, and later on, you form judgments about the facts. Okay, it is very important that you have to make judgments about the fact. Okay, kasi kung hindi yan fact, walang factual basis, walang ebidensya na magpapatunay, okay, dun sa bagay na yon o dun sa isang problema, you cannot make a sound judgment. Okay? So mananatili lang yan na haka-haka, mananatili lang yan na chismis kung wala ka namang matibay na ebidensya. Okay? So, parang sa kaso din, okay? Hindi ka makakasuhan o ma-acquit ka from a certain liability or from a certain case if you are not found guilty or the evidence was there is a lacking evidence to prove, okay, that you are liable or you are guilty. Okay. So, as a critical thinker, all right, there are actually components that you have to take into consideration for you to be successful, okay, in making a sound decision. Number one is, of course, your insight, okay, that is a sound, okay, mental judgment. Your intuition, okay, yung kutob, okay, walang pruweba, pero kinukutuban ka. Merong inkling, merong hint, okay, on your consciousness at the back of your mind, okay, that there is a problem, that there is an issue that may arise later on based on the facial expressions, gestures, okay, and mannerisms of the people around you. All right. What else? Okay, empathy. Okay, putting yourself into the situation of another person, and the willingness to take action or additional components of your critical thinking. So here are the characteristics of a critical thinker. Of course, a critical thinker should be flexible. He or she can bend a bit, okay, para maging maayos, para mas maging maganda yung isang project or isang program on that certain institution. It might be, okay, hindi man na 100% na nasunod, okay, yung tamang proseso, but due to your flexibility, since alam mo na pag sinunod natin yung tamang proseso, merong ah, magiging problema sa karamihan, okay? So you can bend a bit, okay, you adjust a bit, okay, to attend, okay, to the needs of your, all right, in making a sound decision. Insightful, all right, maraming ideas in mind, okay, maraming mga uh, possible compositions, all right, para mas maging blended, mas maging maayos, mas maging kompleto yung rekado ng isang proyekto. The person or the critical thinker should be very energetic. Of course, in introducing new programs, there should be it should be a highly energetic, okay, introduction. Sabi nga nila, kapag maganda ang enerhiya na nakukuha or na nakikita ng isang leader, it reflects or it radiates, okay, towards his or her, okay, colleagues or to the subordinates as well. Risk taker, okay, there should be risk taking. Kailangan, the critical thinker should take risks, okay, at times, Okay? Marunong siyang maki-gamble, okay? Marunong siya dapat pumusta o pumusta at the same time panindigan yung kanyang desisyon. Okay? Mahirap naman yung risk taker ka, pero 'pag nagkabukingan, nagkabulilyaso, eh, hindi mo naman pala kayang panindigan yung desisyon na yun. And there should also be caring and empathy. Okay? So dapat i-consider mo din yung physical or emotional and psychological consequences of the decision. Okay? Makakasakit ba ito sa mga tao ko? Will they accept this decision tawag dito, easily without hurting their feelings or emotions, alright, na hindi ma masasaktan yung kanilang ego, alright. So if that is the case, if that arises later on na masasaktan mo sila at magkakaroon ng tawag dito, nagkakaroon ng problema yung kanilang pagtanggap dun sa mga desisyon na ginagawa mo sa kanila, it would be very hard for the leader or for the manager to make them follow, okay, to convince them to join you your um, in your mission or in your objectives towards the success and all right progress of the institution. The leader or the critical thinker should be open to new ideas. Hindi mo dapat nililimitahan yung sarili mo into what you know, because there are also instances that your subordinates, all right, can contribute fresher ideas, all right, mas updated na ideas, okay, yung mga okay na ideas, okay. Minsan kasi pag tumatanda ka na, your ideas in mind are becoming obsolete and hindi na siya naging appropriate and applicable dun sa current generation ngayon. So you have to be very open, you have to be very optimistic, and you should welcome, all right, opportunities as well. So at the same time, the critical thinker should be willing to change. Okay, so once na open ka na to new ideas, it will follow na magiging willing ka na rin to change a bit. Okay? But not to change everything. Okay? May babaguhin ka lang, may babaliin ka lang ng konti. Ayan, para ma-attain nyo pa rin. And that would be very helpful in attaining still the, okay, the objectives of the institution. You should always, the critical thinker should be communicative and expressive as well. Okay? So, mas mahirap yung kinikimkim mo, tapos, pag inulit-ulit niya, okay, nababanggit mo na ikukwento mo sa ibang tao hanggang sa pag tumatagal na, okay, nade-develop na yung kanyang self-prophecy na hindi siya mabuti empleyado, for example, or hindi siya hindi siya kailangang pagkatiwalaan sa mga responsibilidad na inaata sa kanya. So, later on, pwedeng bumaba ang kanyang self-esteem, self-confidence, and this might result, okay, to a greater problem later on. So magkakaroon siya ng, ano tawag dito? Magkakaroon siya ng galit, magtatanim siya ng sama ng loob. Okay, and that person will become a liability, hindi na siya magiging asset o hindi na siya magiging mabuting empleyado at pwedeng makasira yun doon sa success, alright, ng isang institution or organization. And of course, since you are working in an institution na hindi naman sa inyo, madalas empleyado tayo, as a leader or as a critical thinker, you always have to take into consideration the welfare also of the institution you are working with. Okay? So, kailangan maging resourceful pa rin tayo sa mga gamit o kung may mga pwede tayong i-recycle just to save equipments or tawag dito, mga utensils, all right, mga supplies, okay, in the institution. Then we have to take this into consideration as well. All right? Natulungan din yung ating pinagtatrabahuan na mag-prosper at maging mas maayos na organization or institution. All right. So nurses today must have higher order thinking skills to identify patient problems and to direct also their concerns, their clinical judgments, and actions that result in positive patient outcomes. So when nurses integrate and apply different types of knowledge to weigh evidences, all right, critically thinking about arguments and reflect on the process used to arrive at a certain diagnosis, then this is already known as your clinical reasoning. Okay, so this clinical reasoning is a collaborative and reflective process. Okay, reflective process that involves, okay, content specific knowledge. Okay, so it is usually based on theoretical foundations and engagement of the family and the patient in understanding the clinical problem, as well as the incorporation of critical contextual factors. So if these are made into consideration, these are made part in, okay, in our reasoning or in our decisions, then it becomes a complete package, okay, to make a sound and excellent decision in the future. All right, so this will lead, all right, making sure that these components are taken into consideration. This will lead now to deliver a deliberative decision making and sound clinical judgment as well. All right. So vicarious learning to increase problem solving and decision making skills. So one step would be the important task that relies heavily on critical thinking and clinical reasoning skills. And how do people become successful problem solvers and decision makers? So ang tanong natin is, paano nga ba nagiging successful yung ating yung mga tao who are involved in frequent decision making skills, all right, and who frequently solve now problems or issues in the institution. So, uh, um, okay, some educators feel that people are not successful in problem solving and decision making because individuals are not taught how to reason insightfully from multiple perspectives. So there are actually okay, there are actually tawag dito, guide, okay, or tool which could help us, okay, arrive into a successful or sound decision. So number one here, okay, or number one here is of course with the use of your case studies, okay, your research-based studies, simulations, okay. Simulations kasi uh, are complementary, okay, ways or complementary activities to your case studies or case presentations. Okay, so yung theoretically based, okay, na case studies natin are supported or are enhanced by your simulation activities. So kung ano yung natutunan mo, kailangan ina-apply natin. Especially so that the course that you are taking is both a science and an art. Ibig sabihin, science, it is theoretical based. Art, it is skill based. Okay? So hand in hand, kailangan magkasama lagi si theory at si skills. Okay? So hindi ka magiging maayos na nurse kung alam mo lang pero hindi mo kayang gawin. Hindi ka rin magiging maayos na nurse kung kaya mo siyang gawin pero hindi mo naman ma-explain yung rationale why you are doing that. Okay? So hand in hand, your theory and your skills should come together. Okay. So, all right. So case study simulation, problem-based learning are some of the strategies that have been developed to vicariously improve problem solving and decision making. So in your case study, it may be taught as stories that impact learning. So akala natin mga kwento-kwento lang, alright, mga experiences lang nila, and we always thought that the experience of one could vary from the experience of another. So these case studies, they may be fictional or it includes real person and events, but they are usually relatively short and self-contained for use in a limited amount of time, or be longer with significant detail and complexity for use over extended periods of time. So, yung case studies natin, particularly those that unfold or progress over time, are becoming much more common in our nursing education because they provide a more interactive experience for students than the traditional lecture type. Okay, so sa case study kasi, nagiging interesting siya since pwedeng nagiging interesting siya dahil una, nakaka-relate tayo dun sa experiences, dun sa case ng ating pasyente. Also, ang motivation din ng iba, okay, in appreciating now case studies is that comprehensive yung detalye. It is experiential, alright? To the point na nasusundan mo din yung kwento or yung istorya, alright? Dahil nga bakit na madali siyang intindihin? Kasi minsan naka-ano siya, parang may storyline, okay? Or meron siyang part in the story na parang feeling mo ikaw yung character or ikaw yung nandun sa case study na yan. Alright? So, in addition, simulation models are increasingly being used by schools of nursing to allow students the opportunity to gain skill mastery before working directly with actual patients. Okay? So, ang ginagawa natin in your nursing education is to repetitively, okay, involve you in these types of activities. Kasi, okay, if you're involved, okay, mas madali na lang sa part ninyo na, okay, kapag nag-actual na kayo, madali na lang kayong mag-adjust, mag-adapt since you have been doing, okay, the skill over and over again. Right?